Okay, so this is another one of my favorite case studies. So this one is very interesting, right? And has everything to do with sort of this globalization. And in my other classes, we talk a lot about globalization. We really don't talk about it very much in here, but there's a number of reasons why companies would look to globalize um, or take their businesses globally. One, the obvious one that everybody talks about is it's coster to it's less expensive to manufacture, which is and it isn't necessarily the case, right? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I just had a bunch of stuff printed for the entrepreneurship program, shirts and hats. And if you come to the elevator pitch competition, maybe you'll get one of those. Um, and I just to have them done right, it ran me about $8, $9 a hat. I probably could have had them done in the US for maybe a couple bucks more, maybe. And so sometimes, yeah, it is a little less expensive, and sometimes it's not. So, but that's a big one because we always think, oh, we can manufacture for less in another country. The second reason is expertise. There was a TV show a few years ago where Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, was being interviewed, and they were saying, "Oh, you guys manufacture in China. Don't you feel like you need to bring your manufacturing back to the United States because of all the political pressure and such?" And Tim Cook says, "Well, yes and no. We might bring some stuff back, but we manufacture over there because um, that's where the talent is." And the interviewer was like, "What?" And he said, "Well, what we really need are talent people that have what's called tool and die expertise." He said, "And the number of people that have that expertise in the U.S. would fit in this room, and they're in a pretty big room." And the interviewer was like, "Wow, that's a lot of people." And he goes, "In China, the number of people that have that expertise, they would fit on 6 football fields." And so the second reason we look to globalize is that's where the expertise is. And then there's just other countries that just do stuff better than we do it, right? And so our job is to figure out where the expertise is. And then the third is that we want access to that market. If we manufacture there, will we have access to that market? And so in the past, a lot of our auto manufacturers, it's one of the reasons did some manufacturing in China, was because they wanted access to that Chinese market. VW just got caught with their pants down as a result of that because they really bet big on manufacturing in China because they wanted to sell their electric cars in China, only to have China leapfrog them from a technological standpoint and come out with cars that were less expensive. So those are the three reasons. One, lower cost. Two, access to expertise. Three is that I want access to that market. This case study really sort of uh, 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 hinges on two of those, and you got to figure out which two. Um, it's a company that's come out with a small company, a little tiny company. They manufacture bikes for big people, right? And they're custom bikes, and they have bigger seats and bigger wheels, and the pedals are a little bit wider apart, and they're built to be comfortable for larger people to ride, but they're expensive, man. They're like the cheapest bike, $700. They get up to as much as like $3,500. And but what she wants to do is she really wants to be able to roll out these new electric bikes, but they're about 2 grand, right? Is what she's having to sell them for. And the reason she has to sell them for so much is that she's manufacturing here in the US. So she buys her frames. They're between $400 and $500 for the frame. And then she has a guy that does the customization here also in the US. Bikes cost her $1,250 in the US. That's why she's got to sell them for so much. Well, she's got an investor that has said, "Hey, look, we could go to Taiwan and we could get these things made for $550 a bike, fully assembled, like in the box, ready to roll," which is a huge difference, $700 difference, which means that she could sell the bike for significantly less. And we've talked about low supply and demand in the past. Price plays a huge difference. And we're not talking about a little market here, right? And I think in the article it talks about the fact that the CDC has said that like 1/3 of all American adults are obese. So we're talking about a potentially $80 million person market opportunity. And you're not going to get them all, but can you get like 2%, 5%? It's going to be a massive opportunity. But you're not going to get them if your bike's 2 grand. Can you get them if your bike's less? So if you're able to sell the bike for less, you have the opportunity maybe to sell more bikes. If you manufacture in the U.S., there's the thought that you're going to be creating U.S. manufacturing jobs. So this case study is interesting because for those of you that actually ride bikes, Taiwan is where almost all the good bikes are made, right? I think every top tier manufacturer manufactures in Taiwan. And they do that because that's where the expertise is. And also because they can get it done for a little bit less. And it really comes down to the expertise. I used to ride Cannondale, and my last bike was, I think it was the last Cannondale model that was made in the US. Should have kept it. And now they're made in Taiwan. And they're made in Taiwan because they can make them just as good, if not better, and they can make them for less. And so, this case study asks you, okay, what should you do? Should you continue to manufacture in the U.S., sell the thing for top tier, or do you start manufacturing in Taiwan now, and you now have the opportunity to potentially sell more bikes because you're going to be selling them at a much lower price, right? And so here's what I really need you to sort of get your arms around is if you manufacture in the U.S., do you really think you're going to be able to capture people that want to buy the product because it was made in the U.S.? Do you think you're going to be able to get a premium for that? And if you think you can, give me examples where similar consumer products like this have been able to garner a premium, right? Or but you are going to create manufacturing jobs here, right? If you manufacture in Taiwan and you're able to sell the bike for less money, and you're able to sell more bikes, now you're not going to create any manufacturing jobs. But if you're selling a lot of bikes, what other types of jobs would you potentially create in the US? Any, right? If you got a company that's selling 100 bikes a year, you probably don't need a whole lot of help. You got a company that's selling 10,000 bikes a year. What sort of jobs do you think you might create? And so the reason why I use this case study is that, I don't care what your political position is, but there's really this argument that, we should be doing all manufacturing in the US because it's good. Except that the prices go up, which means that there's less consumers that have the opportunity to buy it. And the argument is, we want to create more jobs in the US. Okay, got it. But if you have a company that's selling 100 bikes versus a company that's selling 10,000 bikes, what sort of jobs are going to be created? And I need you to think that through because as business people, we need to be able to understand that. Is that, look, I'm gonna create this many jobs doing this. I'm gonna create this many jobs doing that. And think about that for a minute. And that's what I want to see in your answer. So make sure you post it by Friday. Be thoughtful. Allow yourself to be challenged, and go read everybody's post. Right? Use this opportunity to go learn what other people are thinking. Man, go through, read everybody else's post, comment on 4 of them. You agree? You disagree? Did they see something that you didn't? And did they think about something you didn't think about? And so, yeah, great case study, man. These are so exciting in a classroom. I hope to see just as much excitement on the discussion board. Peace.